a story to share of I want to say unscrupulous suppliers, but it's not a fully tested case yet. So maybe let me hold back and just say questionable practices around so-called free offers that appear to hoodwink businesses into some kind of a contractual obligation. That's a very obtuse way of describing. Wendy will go in detail in just a moment into what we're talking about. But just to say that after we've tackled that case, we will be taking some open line calls today. So you can give us a call with your question on 021 446 0567 or send a voice note to 072 567 1567. Wendy, this topic today reminds me a lot of a story we've covered several times before, the Telkom directory listing scam, where the receptionist takes the phone call saying we need to update your details for the free listing,
yes,
and then receives an invoice for what wasn't free at all. It's the same sort of modus operandi of presenting something as what looks to be a freebie, but actually isn't. Tell us a little bit more about the particular context today.
Okay, sure. So this is especially for you if you're running a small business, medical practice, or if you're a school, because chances are that sooner or later you will get a call from someone, if you haven't already, on behalf of a company offering to sell you a free sample of a cleaning product or ink cartridges or toner cartridges for your printer, and we all know that those are really expensive, the latter. Yeah. If you agree, you'll be sent not a sample of some floor cleaner, window cleaner, whatever, but a whopping 10 litres or even 25 litres of that product without an invoice. Okay.
Red flag. Okay.
Yes, which I think also you would think, this must be the free sample. It's a bit bigger than what I was expecting, but okay, let's tuck in here. Let's open the product, right? But some while later, you will get an invoice with a demand for payment of an amount. Certainly in today's case study, this was the case, 10 times the usual retail price of that kind of product. Okay. And if you pay up, a while later, you'll get a second delivery of that product with another invoice. And when you complain and say, what's this about, you'll be told, you actually agreed to a 10 package. This is a 10 package deal.
That surely can't be legal practice. Wendy.
Well, it is not. Happily, the Consumer Protection Act protects consumers and businesses with an annual turnover of less than 2 million, which are classed as consumers for the purposes of the Act. We're protected against from such rogue selling methods. So in short, if there is no proof, and this is what this entire topic and show hinges on, if there is no proof that you ordered a particular product in that particular volume at that particular price, which they later invoice you for, the goods are regarded as unsolicited and you are not legally required to pay for them. I'm going to go into more detail on that later, quoting directly from the Act, but to intro this topic and our guest today, I've come across, as you said earlier, versions of this unselected. Oh no, you were talking about the Telkom scam. Yes. So, as for this particular one, I've come across over the course of 20 plus years, versions of this unsolicited goods scam several times, usually but not always involving ink cartridges, targeting smaller businesses.
Yeah.
In the cases I've dealt with, companies are phoned and enticed by a very good deal for printer consumables, toners, ink cartridges, which they then agree to. In many cases, they're not impressed by the quality at all, but then the follow-up orders keep happening, and they're told, well, you agreed to that in the call, and when they ask for the call recording, it doesn't materialize, but the demands, ever more threatening demands for payment do continue, and the goods keep coming. So this office cleaning supplier scam starts with a call offering not for a cheap product, but totally free samples of their product. No obligation, completely free. Apparently, that's I've read many complaints that stress that it's free. But as you said, anything but. So Somerset West-based dentist Amanda Murray wrote to us at the end of last week to relate how her practice was targeted.
And Amanda, thank you. I know you are squeezing us in between patients this afternoon,
thank you,
thank
Wendy.
you for your time. Welcome.
No, it's a pleasure. Thank you. Welcome.
Amanda, it started with a phone call from a salesperson who spoke to your receptionist. And what did they propose or offer at that point?
Yes, so a couple of months ago, my receptionist got a phone call. Listen, do we use cleaning stuff? Yes. Do we use pine gel? Yes. But they have this fantastic pine gel that we can try out. It's for free, and they will send us a free sample. And my receptionist, well, okay, and use pine gel. And she asked, are you sure it's free? And they said, yes. After we've tried it and tested it, and if we are happy, then we can order it for about, I think, 99 Rand a litre. Well, if you look now, it's quite a lot, but she doesn't know what the price is. So it was offered for free. And then what also was offered for free was, they said they want to send a free, like a Maestro gift card that I could use as the owner of the business at any place like Woolworths or Pick n Pay, wherever I shop. And then there's an unknown amount of free voucher.
Which, if you think about it, is extremely suspicious. I mean, who does that?
Yes. Yeah, so, but obviously I didn't take that initial call. And she thought, okay, free sample of pine gel, it's something that we can use. So she said later that day she got a second phone call from the company, and the guy said, did they explain how it works? She said yes, and she asked again, are you sure the product is for free, the sample? Yes, the sample is for free, and they just wanted our address to deliver the sample and an email address. So she gave it to them. And later on, it was like over a weekend, the free sample was 25 liters of pine gel. I mean, we can use pine gel for I don't know how many years. It's this massive container. There wasn't any invoice attached, nothing. And I was like, wow, what, 25 liters? This is for free? Anyway, I haven't even opened the sample.
Just as well.
Yes, and when she told me, listen, and they're giving me this free Maestro card, I thought it's too good to be true, that part.
Yeah.
But I thought, let me just try it at a shop, and they said there's nothing on it. Okay, so I just threw it away. And then a couple of weeks later, they started phoning my receptionist, telling, listen, we owe them 2,800 and something. It's like, what? We didn't consent. She didn't consent. It's supposed to be for free. And then they started sending, then we got the first invoice. As I said, there wasn't an invoice on the container.
Yeah.
And she said, listen, you can't pick up this 25 liters of cleaning pine gel because we didn't order it. I'm not going to pay 2,800. Anyway, she doesn't even have the authority to make orders. So as a dentist, I do my own orders at all my dental companies. And then if you start at a new place to order, then there's forms that we fill in. So there was nothing of that sort, of any kind, as it was told as a free sample. And then they kept on harassing us, and my receptionist said there were guys very aggressive on the phone, insisting that we order it, and they have a no return policy, that we can't send the product back. And last week I got an email from them. Now it's the legal or so-called legal department. Now it's 3,200 and something that we have to pay. And then I said, no, this is nonsense. I took the phone, I phoned the company and said, listen, I want to speak to a manager or a director. And I spoke to a lady, and she sounded like, what, really? Is this what happened? And she used the Lord's name, but this cannot be, but what is it at the legal department? I said, yes, I'm getting a demanding letter from the legal department. Oh, she said, but if it's at the legal department, then your hands are tied, she said. But the legal department is a floor down. She will go down. And when can she phone me back? Because it was in between patients. And I told her, listen, on lunch, 12:15, that time came, nothing happened. Later the afternoon, I phoned back, insisting that I speak to this specific person. They told me she's unavailable. We've sent numerous emails. Please come and pick the stuff up. And then I thought, no, this is nonsense. So when I went and looked on Hello Peter, this company gets a rating 1.9 out of 10. And then there were like 77% of people, everyone complaining. They were offered a free sample. And then it's like this 25 liters. Sometimes the people said it was handy. And then also what they said is in the phone calls, there was a guy that asked my receptionist, and she said, but listen, when she told him, you are a scam. This is fraud. And he said, no, but we also sell ink. So, or she said, what do you sell? What business are you? No, they also sell ink. And then they almost wanted to sell ink to her. And she said, listen, I don't want anything of you. And then he thought, no, we can swap the pine gel for ink cartridge. And he phoned her later again. Then he was angry at her. Why? They're going to send us the ink cartridge. He said, but I don't have the authority to order anything. We don't want to swap anything. And Friday, so I told my receptionist, listen, you're not going to take any calls from this company.
Yeah.
And I personally sent an email to their so-called legal department and their accounts department saying this is a scam, and I highlighted, all the Hello Peter comments. I didn't get any reply on my email. And then a couple of days later, I got a phone call again. Now he's phoning from the legal department. My receptionist, listen, do you want to talk to them? And I said, well, I'll talk to them. And I just told him, listen, julle is schelms. You actually talk to me in Afrikaans. Julle is schelms. You are, this is a scam. And he said, but now he tried to blame my receptionist. Yeah, but did I take that initial phone call? I said, no. But then my receptionist had their consent. I told him, no, she didn't. Just like all the other 77% of people, they're targeting us. There was other schools, other people, and now they hold to blame to pay for something that they didn't order. And the people are aggressive on the phone, and it's just a terrible situation.
Amanda, I want to thank you so much for making time to share that story with us today. And I think it really is helpful to the audience to hear it firsthand, to hear the distress it's caused, the aggressive nature of the communications on the phone. And I really love the fact that you have held out and stood your ground on this one, albeit that it's not resolved as yet. Wendy?
I'd like to ask one question, Amanda, and that is around proof of this order being accepted, that them disclosing that the sample, in inverted commas, is actually 25 litres of the stuff for which you would be required to pay more than 2,800 Rand.
Yeah.
Did you at any point say to them, well, then let me listen to the call recording where my receptionist agreed, and how did they respond?
So my receptionist said, listen, you're telling us that all calls are recorded, so bring us the call. And they played her a call, and she said she could make out she's talking, but you cannot hear anything on the call. And obviously they can edit things, because they did ask her at certain stages, do you use pine gel? Yes, we used pine gel. And as I said, there was a second call that day. Did you understand? And did she explain? Yes. And is it free? Yes. So we did get a recording, but it wasn't of the whole conversation, and you cannot hear anything. And when I phoned the company myself and tried to speak to a manager, I told her, listen, I'm going to record this now. And that's when she said, no, but she'll phone me back later on, then obviously didn't speak to anybody.
Right.
Okay, Amanda, thank you again for joining us. And Wendy is about to give some feedback on her engagement with the company involved and explain why we're not naming them at this point. It is a story that is going to require some ongoing research in the course of the next week. So we'll keep you posted, Amanda. And thank you for raising a very important issue with us. Dr. Amanda Marais speaking to us from Somerset West. And I know she's got to get back to her patients, so we'll let her go at that point. Wendy, obviously lots of red flags here. Around the nature of the communication, around the absence of an invoice with that first delivery being a big red flag. But really, as Amanda referenced, she's gone on to Hello Peter. There are dozens of complaints about the same thing. And I believe several of them also speak to the fact that when they asked for recordings of their sales, what they got back was very indistinct. Before we talk about the company's own response, let's talk a little bit about what the Consumer Protection Act would say about this kind of marketing technique. We're talking about Section 21.
Yes. And I must also talk briefly about the direct marketing protections one has, because this is direct marketing. They phoned the company, not the other way around. So Section 21 deals with unsolicited goods and services, and I'm going to try and précis this. So if a supplier delivers a larger quantity of goods than the consumer agreed to buy, the excess goods are unsolicited unless the consumer has rejected the entire delivery. So this would be for people that sort of gave into the harassment and paid for the first lot and then got a second and said, oh, well, it's part of 10. They need to prove that you did order 10 consecutive orders. If any goods have been delivered to a consumer by or on behalf of a supplier without the consumer having expressly or implicitly requested that delivery, the goods are unsolicited. The goods become unsolicited only if the recipient informs the supplier or deliverer that the goods were misdelivered, because there are obviously cases where it came to you by mistake. And the goods are not recovered within the following 20 business days. So you can't just keep quiet
and keep it.
You've got to report, hey, come and collect it. If the consumer is not responsible for the consumer is not responsible for any cost pertaining to the recovery of the goods and is not liable for any loss or damage to the goods during the time that they are in the person's possession or control, other than loss caused by the person's intentional interference with the goods. So if you are in possession of what is unsolicited goods, given the explanation or the description I've just given you, you can keep them. You can return them to the supplier at their risk and expense. And you are under no obligation to pay for unsolicited goods or the deliverer, and the supplier must not demand or attempt to connect any payment from a consumer in respect of any charge relating to the goods left in the possession of a consumer, blah, blah, blah. And then this one, which pertains to many people who've already paid. If you've made a payment in respect of unsolicited goods, you are entitled to recover that amount with interest from the date on which it was paid. I don't rate their chances, but it's worth a try, and certainly raising it with the Consumer Goods and Services Ombudsman. But
so that's unequivocal. Those were unsolicited goods. They had not placed an order for anything like that amount, and they have no obligation to keep it, to pay for it.
There can be no fee.
No fees for returning it either.
For one thing, there's the direct marketing thing. You have 7 days cooling off period, as we always talk about. So they must come and take it. But that can be at your cost to send it back. But if it's unsolicited, then
it's at
they
their
must.
cost.
And they can't charge any fee. A couple of the complaints said that they were told that there is an admin fee if they do come and collect, and they confirm it in their own responses, which the responses on Hello Peter stopped in around March of this year, but they confirmed that we're waiving this in your case. Well, assuming there was consent in the first place, which the consumer or the businesses deny, you can't charge a fee
for that collection. Wendy, you did reach out to the company in question, and just before we came to air, you actually got a response, which is why we're not why we're not naming them right now, because that response requires some further investigation. Tell us what happened.
Okay, so I got hold of them on Monday. I phoned the company actually wanting to have a conversation. I was told I couldn't get the name of a manager, but at least they confirmed an email address to which a media query should be sent. So I duly did that, and I asked for a response by 10 o'clock this morning, and it didn't come, and I thought it wasn't coming because at the very last moment, given that I've still got to drive into the studio at 8 minutes past 12, it came.
Okay.
And it went like this. Please be advised that we are a telemarketing company and our internal procedures are as follows. Our telemarketing agents make contact with business, I'm reading verbatim, that are listed in the Trudon Yellow Page directory, hence the term cold calling. Mm-hmm. As per sales script or pitch, agents are trained to ask for and only speak to the person authorized to purchase said products. Well, that's the first deviation. Yeah. Once that individual takes the call, it's further confirmed with the person if they are authorized to purchase, also at odds with what Natasha and scores of others have said.
Yeah,
or
Natasha
other business owners.
in Amanda's business. Yeah,
right. Because the word "free" was being bandied about several times, according to her, in more than one call.
Yeah.
If this question is answered with a positive yes, the sales agent continues to market the product. A gift voucher is offered as a token of gratitude to the company for having purchased the product for the first time. That must be that gift card that Amanda spoke of, and which had a zero balance. Yes. A verifications or confirmations manager contacts the customer thereafter to reconfirm that there was actually an order placed, and also that all the information shared and received is correct and true. According to Amanda, Natasha said yes, is it true? And the answer was yes. So there's a number of calls here that would need to be
listened to.
Mm. If the verification manager has confirmed positively the sale is then sent through to the quality assurance department. It makes it sound like it's quite a massive operation.
Yeah.
Quality assurance ensures that both telephone calls, which are the sales, and the confirmation of the order calls are 100% correct and of optimum level of quality before the sale is then forwarded to our dispatch department for the courier off the goods. All of our telephone calls are recorded and are made available to customers upon request. That did happen in Amanda's case,
Yep.
but as we heard her say,
It was indistinct.
there were
Yeah.
no action. There was no meeting of the minds that was apparent on it. The specific 25 litres of pine gel at 2,800 and whatever rand. You agree to this? Yes. That
was
cannot
not
be heard.
discussed,
And
yeah.
that is what you need for it to be a valid mandate. So when you order something, when you enter into any form of contract on the phone, the call recording takes the place of a written contract, as you would get if you did business face to face.
Yeah.
So it's absolutely vital. Everything hinges on that.
Okay.
And then she continues, this woman from the company in question, with this customer, she's referring to Amanda, there is ample proof of this order. For this order.
Yeah.
If you would like to listen to these recordings, please arrange with me so that I can get my IT department to call you and play you the recording to make you aware that all was and is in order before the stock was delivered. I actually wrote back, I was in a rush, and said, yes, I would like to get that recording. I've just realized now that she's saying I will have to listen to it over the phone, which is not optimal. I want my own recording,
Yes,
so
because-
that I can get it verified.
well,
Because I
this is
did write back to her and say I will be getting this verified.
So you will take that recording and run it past an expert to make sure it
Yes.
hasn't been edited
Tampered.
or massaged in any way.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Of
Very
course,
important.
because even how important it is.
Yeah. Okay,
So-
so that's where we are. And that is
Abs-
why we're not naming them today, Wendy, because you haven't yet had a chance, obviously, to listen to that recording, which they claim totally
Yes.
absolves them of any
So we
wrongdoing
can't,
here.
in fairness and, in adhering to our codes of conduct and everything else, it's not fair to name them if
Without
there is-
having listened
they're
to their
saying there
defence.
is ample. Yes, we
Yeah.
we have to follow it right the way through, which we fully intend to. But I mean, looking on the balance of probability, what is the probability that someone is, whether they're the receptionist or the owner of the company, is going to say yes to a company they've never heard of, never done business with before, none of the usual forms and
Yeah, the
onboarding
verifications
of
and
suppliers has happened. They will say yes to 25 litres of pine gel at 2,800 and something rand.
Which is more than it sounds like they could use in a
In
year.
several years.
Yeah.
The possibility of someone knowingly saying yes to that is I would venture to suggest not good.
to say the
Bless
least.
you,
Yes,
Pippa.
thank you.
And then you look at the scores of comments, complaints on Hello Peter, where people are alleging the same
Exactly the
thing.
same thing,
What are
yeah.
the probabilities that they're all lying? They all missed the fact that it wasn't a free sample. They were
actually
actually
an
getting,
order.
in some cases it was 10 litres, in some cases 25. So this is a very interesting case, and I await the recording. I'm going to insist when I come off here, I'm going to reiterate, I'm going to clarify my initial response and say I will be needing to
Your
have
own
my own
copy
copy.
to send to have verified.
And if
yeah.
there's no good reason why they should balk at that, if it's a thing, then I'm sure Amanda would be most happy to
release, sign a release.
give.
Yeah.
Exactly. So to be continued.
Lunch with Pippa Hudson.
On CapeTalk.